Hey friends, happy Friday. Hope you're going to enjoy your weekend this coming weekend. I'm so sorry that I said it like that. I really hope that you have a good life. Anyways, in case you're wondering what's with the background, we're transitioning to a new office, so I have to use a green screen for the time being because everything's in shambles. So thanks for sticking with us. Pardon our mess. Let's move on into the actual first article, which is about a brand new undisclosed GPU by AMD, which has appeared in some benchmarks. Yes, my friends, this is something that we could potentially be quite hyped for because it beats the RTX 2080 Ti by 17%, which is more than what an RTX 2080 Ti Super would be able to achieve, because all they would be able to do is unlock the memory, and there would probably be very little chance that it could get to 17% faster than the RTX 2080 Ti. So the actual benchmark is an OpenVR benchmark. It's not a typical one that we've seen, and it requires a purchase, so it's not necessarily something that has a ton of data. But what we can see is that there is an undisclosed Radeon graphics that has been used on this benchmark that comes in at 103.32 FPS at 1512 by 1680 resolution. There's one card above that, which is a 2070, but that's because it's running 640 by 720, so that one doesn't count. The RTX 2080 Ti at the exact same resolution is running in the neighborhood of 87 to 88 FPS, while this undisclosed Radeon card is able to get over 100 FPS. This is also interesting because you can see the CPU that goes with this Radeon graphics is the code sample for the recently announced Ryzen 7 4800H, a mobile chip. So this is a really confusing benchmark that's out there. It could just be that they put this engineering sample name on a different CPU, or it could be some weird hybrid situation where they have this running in an external graphics dock. Either way, the GPU numbers are surely impressive. And considering the fact that AMD doesn't enable Crossfire on its current Navi GPUs, this is likely a single card that's delivering this performance. So 17% better performance out of this AMD card versus an RTX 2080 Ti. If this is actually a card that AMD plans on releasing, this is a gaming card and not necessarily some engineering or developer card that will be coming out only to a select group of people. If this is an actual gaming card, this could mean that NVIDIA would actually need to release a brand new architecture in order to put AMD in its place. So this is pretty exciting, and especially with AMD recently confirming that we are indeed getting a high-end Navi card at some point. You can check out our previous hot news where we discussed that, and how Dr. Lisa Su said that Big Navi is indeed coming, as well as ray tracing will be happening. But seeing a Navi card beat what is currently out on the market from NVIDIA is good. It might be too little too late by the time NVIDIA might be able to launch something with 7 nanometers on what we're expecting is their Ampere architecture, but an AMD card that is beating the RTX 2080 Ti in video games is something that we haven't seen at all. So if we could see this come out sometime soon, that would be amazing. What do you think of this GPU? What do you think of this benchmark? Let me know down below in the comments. Now let's talk about something that exceeds our expectations in the worst way possible, and that is Intel's Comet Lake CPUs. This is something that we were expecting to be announced at CES to get the 10-core 10900K from Intel. However, it appears that one of the reasons that this chip and sets of chips didn't get launched at CES is because the 10-core 20-thread processor is drawing 300 watts. 300 flippin' watts from the socket, making it so that you need a gargantuan cooler to actually run this. And this is not at all unbelievable, considering the 9900K can run upwards of 200 watts, and the 9900KS, which was recently launched, can run between 250 and 275 watts with an overclock. So this actually appears to be one of the reasons why it's been delayed, because motherboards and motherboard manufacturers can't actually deliver enough power to this chip to make it satisfactory. They can hit the, I think it's 125 watt TDP, but they can't necessarily provide all of the power for it to run at any sort of sustainable boost clock. So we might actually just have to wait a little while longer for Intel to catch up to AMD. What a world we're living in. AMD might be beating NVIDIA. AMD's sure as heck beating Intel. It's crazy stuff. But now let's shift gears over into Intel's GPU, because while Intel didn't unveil its DG1 GPU at its keynote at CES, or even for the first couple days of CES, now, as of December 9th, they've unveiled unveiled their DG1 GPU. I don't know why they didn't do this before, but it's finally ready. Physical images of the DG1 are now out on the internet. You can see it looks like a lower end card. It performs like a lower end card. You can check out Gamers Nexus analysis where they used a high frame rate camera to capture how many FPS it's running at. You can check that video right up there, but suffice it to say, it's not really a great 1080p card. It does okay, but it's not going to be phenomenal. It really would come down to cost whether or not this thing would be worth it. Hopefully Intel iterates upon this and it gets better before it launches, but as of right now, it's not looking like it's super impressive, but Intel does have a GPU. Now let's talk about other unannounced things, and that is DDR5. Yes, my friends, the next RAM standard is apparently being sampled by Micron. Micron is a company that produces DRAM, and from the reports that are coming out about the initial DDR5 sampling is that it could potentially be up to 85% faster than current DDR4 performance, which would be phenomenal for a bunch of different CPUs that take advantage of faster RAM, like, I don't know, Ryzen. We'll have to wait and see when this would actually come out. Current estimates indicate that it would be widespread adoption on gaming platforms in roughly 2022, 2023. So the next few years, we should still be on DDR4 with DDR5 coming after that. But hopefully Zen 3 will still be on DDR4, so you don't have to upgrade your RAM soon. But faster RAM could be something that's coming down the pipeline in the near future. And what might be coming down the pipeline from Metallic Gear is a lawsuit from Apple, because they unveiled their new cases. Metallic Gear, in case you don't know, is actually a subsidiary of Phanteks. They split the brands previously because Phanteks wanted to sell cheaper cases, but didn't want it under the Phanteks name, which is supposed to be the more premium stuff. Anyways, you can see here, they basically knocked off the cheese grater look of the Mac Pro and put it into a cheaper case. This is a $60 case. It's using ABS plastic that's been drilled out in order to get the cheese grater look, and supposedly will go on sale in the March 2020 timeframe in case you're interested in that. And then they also unveiled a LED front panel type deal. I believe Inwin already had an idea similar to this, but the Metallic Gear one is called the Neo Matrix and should possibly come out in the same time frame for $100. Speaking of spending money, because I was talking about price points. Anyways, Dead Cells, which is an amazing game. If you haven't played it and you really like roguelike Metroidvania games, this Dead Cells, I can't recommend it enough. It's on the Switch, it's on the PC, it's on major consoles. Well, now it's been announced that it should be coming out to Android in Q3 of 2020. I cannot recommend that you pick up this game enough if you like these types of games. It's phenomenal. Good job on Motion Twin for producing that. But a lot of people wouldn't say good job to Game Freak, because Pokemon Sword and Shield has an announced expansion pass, which will give you new zones and up to 200 new Pokemon, I believe was the number. This pissed off a lot of Pokemon fans. A lot of people are okay with the expansion pass, but a lot of people saying that this is Game Freak lying about the fact that they couldn't include previous generation Pokemon into the new Sword and Shield. This was a controversy that came out where they didn't have all of the Pokemon at launch, and now they're going to make you pay for an expansion pass for you to get the privilege of having something that should have been in the base game already. You guys can let me know how you feel about that down below in the comments, but the first one of the expansion pass should be launching in June 2020, and the second one should be launching sometime in the fall. And then the last little bit of console news comes from the PlayStation 5. We've got some indication from PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan talking about how the PlayStation 5 might be better than we think. His quote is, "There's more to the PS5 than the traditional game consoles that are unique. We haven't announced the bigger differences yet." So we'll have to find out what that actually is. Hopefully it's more than just changing the typography on a logo, changing a 4 to a 5, and expecting us to be satisfied with that being an exclusive announcement at a major trade show. And hopefully it's more than just faster SSDs, which have been in computers for ages. I'm hoping that the console can bring something that we haven't seen yet, and it actually is something more than the traditional game consoles. Hopefully PlayStation can satisfy that. But LG hasn't been able to satisfy me, and apparently it hasn't been able to satisfy customers either, because there's reports coming out that they haven't been able to make money from its smartphone division in some years. However, they're resolving that they will be profitable by 2021. They're saying that they will expand their mobile lineup and steadily release new mobile phones attached with some wow factors to woo customers, which by golly, LG, you've been trying to do that for ages, and I feel like you just miss the mark every time. They have great feature sets, but overall seem to be lacking, or they have good cognitive reasoning as to why consumers would want the phone, but then not enough practical execution to make it so that people actually buy their phones. We'll see if LG can become profitable, but they might turn out to be like HTC, which I believe lost 98% of its revenue or 90% of its revenue in just 2 years. And they're really, really struggling. We'll talk about that in a couple of years. But over a couple of years, Ring received reports that some of its employees were nefariously, or at least outside of the boundaries of their job title and job responsibilities, were looking at video feeds from their customers a bit more than they should have. Ring reported that they received 4 complaints over 4 years about the people who were looking at customers' video feeds, and they launched an investigation into each of them and then fired all 4 of them for, quote, exceeding what was necessary for their job functions. There's not much more detail than that about what video feeds that they were watching and why they were watching them, but they have been let go, and apparently Ring has made strides in trying to beef up its security measures, making it so that less people have access to the video feed, saying that there are only currently 3 employees that can access stored customer videos. We'll see if this actually makes a difference. But do you have a Ring doorbell? Let me know down in the comments. And hopefully you don't have one of these smartphones, because Assurance Wireless by Virgin, which is a government subsidized company, is selling a smartphone, specifically the UMX U686CL, which is just a $35 smartphone because it receives a subsidy from the US government as part of its Lifeline policy or program that it has going on. And it's been found by Malwarebytes that this contains malware. It's just baked into the smartphone from the get-go. Apparently, in its wireless update app, it can actually allow other apps to sideload in without receiving permission from the owner of the phone, and is bad. It's malware. So hopefully you don't have one of those. In case you know somebody who does, get them checked out. And a lot of people checked out the TV show that was Firefly way back in the day. 2002 freaking is when it came out. And in case you were one of the diehard fans who liked the 1-season TV show plus the Serenity movie that came out, well, there might be some hope. Apparently, according to rumors that are surrounding that, there might be a reboot going on. Apparently, one of the reasons why Fox hasn't been rebooting it was because the Orville was on Fox, and they said that they couldn't have 2 space adventures at the same time. But now that the Orville has moved to Hulu, there's an open gap, and then apparently the showrunner tweeted some stuff out. So in case you care at all about Firefly, you might be able to get your jimmies rustled on a new show. And my jimmies are rustling because I want this. I want this chair so bad. The Acer Thronos Air is finally on sale. This is something that I think they've had at trade shows for a while, where it's just a giant gaming chair with triple monitor setup. It's amazing, and it has a PC, and it just looks so gorgeous. But the price is $14,000, which is a lot of money. So I made the joke in Discord that I wanted to crowdfund this, but in seriousness, Acer, if you're watching, just can I have one? My room's empty now because I moved out, so like I could fit a Thronos in here. So Acer, if you want to send me this $14,000 chair, I'd be more than willing to make a video on it. So hit me up. And my friends, I want you to hit up that like button and the subscribe button to stay up to date on all of our tech-related content. I'm Brett with the UFD Tech Channel. You've just been hot newsed. Get wrecked, son. See you next week. Cheers.